Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of An Alchemical Transmission. Um, if you're new here, I welcome you all. I am Priya, and this is a space where we strip away any kind of illusion. We talk about the raw truth, and we remember that the alchemy is already alive within us. And before I go further, make sure you are going to subscribe because there are views and they are from people who have not subscribed. So the whole reason why you engage with the content by subscribing, liking is so that many more people get to hear this, because this is not coming from any text, this is not academic, this is lived experiences, and we don't have many of it. And I'm saying this from experience again. And with that, I have certain questions to ask you, okay? This is like to understand if this is really for you. And also, what are you going to get in the next 20 to 30 minutes? So, if you have ever felt a very vast, uncomfortable emptiness, and if you have thought to yourself whether you're collapsing, you're breaking down, you're in depression, or you're bypassing it, or if something sacred is preparing to birth through you, then this transmission is for you. We are going straight into the real tantric meaning of what the void is. It's not the watered down version, but we're really getting into Shūnya as the womb, the void as the womb, an unpatterned potency. And you will learn how to, discern your false void from the true void somatically in your body, like right now during the transmission. And you will also walk away knowing exactly when the darkness has finished the work and the emergence is beginning. So give me the next 35 to 40 minutes, and you will never again mistake numbness to spiritual depth. And I'm sure you're looking for something like this, right? So, in the last couple of episodes, we walked through the human heart, we unraveled the mind's veil, we distinguished the raw surge of emotions from the stories we weave. And now, as the 2026 energy is pulsing, the call deepens, because in the last couple of days, I've spoken to a lot of people who've been going through this and not knowing what it is. That's a whole reason why I'm coming up and talking about this. And also know that this is not something that I can finish in 40 minutes or even 20 minutes for that sake. Um, so what am I going to weave into this? So first of all, this is going to be from a very tantric point of view because that has been my experience. Okay. It's raw, it's embodied, it's gestational. And we will be unfolding this transmission in two parts. Today, it's all about the essence and the discernment of the void. And the part two is where the traditions, the cycles, the warnings come into place. Okay. So if the void, the womb, as Shūnya steers in you, stay and let's weave together. While all of this is happening, I'm going to first start off with what Tantra actually is. Because if if I think deeper about it, why is this knowledge so diabolical when it comes from the West? And what is it about? What is it centered? So Tantra is not centered around guilt. It does not suppress desire. It does not moralize the body. It does not place salvation outside of embodiment. That directly threatens many aesthetics like Christianity or colonial morality or even Victorian sexual repressions or modern productivity spirituality. So, um, it was sensationalized, sexualized, demo, dem, dem, oh, de, stripped away from a lot of discipline and turned into a play of what it truly holds. Like the whole meaning is gone. But what does it literally mean? Tantra is to weave, it's to extend, it's to structure consciousness into form. It's not sex, not indulgence, it's not rebellion, it's not chaos, it is not ego expression. Tantra is applied metaphysics, the precision of manifesting the unmanifest, weaving the infinite into the finite without fracture. The core tantric premise is non-negotiable, okay? It's nothing is outside consciousness. Therefore, nothing needs to be rejected. Everything must be handled with precision. So, this is a part where most people flip. This is a part that most people miss as well. Because Tantra or tantric practices are not permissive. It's exacting. It's like a razor edge where one misstep reveals the illusion of control. In Tantra, the human body is treated as an instrument, a laboratory, a transmitter, not as a toy, not as a prison, not as like some kind of sin machine. That is why authentic Tantra demands discipline, timing, containment, initiation, restraint, not freedom in the modern sense, rather responsibility, the sacred weight of wielding power that could unravel worlds. Yes, some tantric lineages work with sexual energy, but sex is not the goal here. Orgasm is not the point, and pleasure is not the metrics. Sexual energy is used because it is the most potent biological current, the most destabilizing if it is misused, the fastest route to ego inflation. That is why tantric information is restricted. It's not out in the open, or because this is the whole reason why it is veiled in mixed mystery and accessible only after proving that one's own vessel could hold that kind of fire without burning you down. And it's a sad thing that in the West, they have removed the initiation, they have removed the cosmology, they have removed the ethics, they have removed containment, and just kept simulation. They've kept the language, they've kept the fantasy part of it, and that is not tantra. That is some kind of somatic indulgence with spiritual branding, a pale echo of the true weaving. So, if I had to summarize this whole thing, right, Tantra is the science of handling power without fragmentation. That's it. The mystery unfolds from there, layer by veiled layer. Now, if you're ready, I will speak a lot of the upcoming pointers in the tantric ontology, okay? Not modern spirituality, not Advaita bypass, and not at all the pop void romanticism, but in the most ancient pulse of Shakta tantric tradition. The cycle I didn't know I was following until about last year. That is because I am admitting here that I really don't know about a lot of these things. I have never been interested in these things before. It's only after I started practicing is where I started understanding things, and that is why I'm here to break it down for you guys. Okay, now in Shakta Tantric, this is where the Shakti dances eternally with Shiva. So, what does the void mean from a tantric point of view? In Tantra, void is unpatterned potency, the primordial hum before the cosmos whispers its first breath. The Sanskrit field here includes Shunya, the emptiness of fixed form. Okay. Shunyata, the openness, not negation. Bindu before form, the state prior to differentiation, and Yoni, which means either the womb or the source or the receptive field. So when I say that I have always felt the void as a womb, it's technically accurate from a tantric metaphysics, because the great casual womb where universes, withdraw and rebirth, this is what the actual meaning is. The void is where nothing is defined yet, therefore, everything is a possibility. It is like a mysterious gestation pregnant with infinities. And I realized that this cycle is not imagined. So there's a cycle to it, okay? I'm gonna take you through that. Uh, it is tantric sequencing. I found this after I researched extensively on what am I going through? Like, why have I gone through this cycle over and over and over again through the last year and the year before, primarily because I'm able to differentiate and understand this. So this is mirroring the Shakta tantric creation loop, not a cognitive one. Okay, so here is the mapping. I'll just name it out for you. Step one is knowing. Step two is activation. Step three is integration. Step four is action. I'll explain this in the most simplest words possible. Okay, knowing is jnana, knowledge, entering the field. Okay, now when I say knowledge, it's not just information, it is a recognition that occurs, a truth that touches awareness. This corresponds to the Shiva principles, pure awareness, witnessing, intelligence, seeing. With me so far? Now it goes to the next stage, which is activation, where energy responds to knowing. This is Shakti rising, not choice. Okay, it's like beyond, all of this is beyond your control. All right, there may be some kind of sensations and emotions and nervous system movements and dreams and symbols and disruptions, but this is where most people stop the natural flow of things and start spirituality as a performance where they are chasing the thrill without knowing the depth, and so on and so forth. Okay, but if you let this experience flow through, if you flow through this experience rather, then the next stage is integration, and that stage is void, you guys. This is the most misunderstood part in any other system. Like in Tantra, integration does not happen by doing things, it happens by dissolution, a sacred unraveling into mysteries. The system must empty old structures to host new, and this phase feels like emptiness, silence, meaninglessness, loss of motivation, also neutrality sometimes. You feel, in human words, nothing is happening, but technically what's happening is old samskaras dissolving, identity scaffolding collapsing, neural energetic rewiring, um, form returning to source, like the universe withdrawing into the womb at the end of the cosmic day. And it is this womb state. Like, how are you when you're in the womb? It's not a failure, right? The womb is like a dark presence which is nurturing what will emerge unseen. It's like putting a seed in a soil and letting it do the work for the roots to come through and for everything to happen for that little plant to pop out of the soil, right? The popping out of the soil is the action. Okay, because when you have gone to the void completely, that is when the next phase sets in, which is action. Now, action always arises after the void. It does not come from will. Okay, Now, Tantra is very clear on this. The Tantric, if you are somebody who is very unconsciously, subconsciously following this cycle, then Tantra is very clear about this. The right action or the Kriya emerges spontaneously once the form has been recrystallized, a mysterious uprising from the depths, and action is forced before void integration. What I mean by that is, if you try to do something, if you're forcing yourself to do something before the integration is complete, before you get out of the void, this creates a lot of disruption. And these are the echoes of your unburdened shadows, meaning the only reason why you would get out of integration is because you're impatient, you are losing your shit, you are unable to keep it together. And all of this is happening because of the emotional baggage that you have been carrying. Okay. So the void feels unbearable to most people. And it's because it's very uncomfortable, you guys. I get you. And it becomes even more uncomfortable because the void removes all kind of identity reinforcements. It is like it suspends any kind of immediate gratification or rewards. It offers no kind of narratives. Like there's nothing that's keeping you calm. Okay. Cannot be used and cannot be shown. Okay. A profound mystery that strips all kind of veils. And the modern system really panics here, and what it tries to do, it fills in these periods of void with affirmations and positivity and rituals as a routine, meaning making, because you're not getting any meaning from being in the void, right? And all kind of high vibrational behavior. It could be crystals, and could be meditation and chanting, and it could be all of these things. But in Tantra, the logic or the principle is very simple. It says stay, inhabit the enigma, let it whisper its secrets. And also, please know that void is not being in rest or being at rest forever. Okay, so in tantric practices, uh, there is no concept of worshipping permanent emptiness. That would be just Shiva without Shakti. That is incomplete, a frozen mystery. The void is a face. It's a face. Okay? It can reoccur, but it's a face. It is a gestation. It is a reset chamber. The dark womb pulsing with hidden life. So true Tantra is emptiness, form, emptiness, form, breathing and pulsing and creating, and an eternal spiral of divine mystery. And there are some systems that are wired to rush from activation to, action, and others are wired to require deep gestational silence. The womb's patient alchemy, this is where it all happens. This is your chamber of alchemy, alchemization. Okay. My orientation very clearly belongs to the second, because this has been my process, and it also makes it very architectural. It is like a builder's right. So if anyone who's listening here feels this way, know that it is because forging new frameworks, okay, in shadowed depths is what you are doing. And the builders of the new framework must pass through these voids. Um, Most others never enter. So, mysteries that reshape reality. If you have felt that, why is my life so difficult? Why do I have to go one lesson after the other? Why do I feel that this has been happening with me for ages? It's because you're a builder, my love. And this is the framework that you need to go through, because you um you're being forged by the fire to turn into a diamond, and be at it. Don't give up, because you know the that the other side of it, whenever that happens, wherever that takes you, is where everything for you lies. And the whole period that you're going through this cycle of knowing, of activation, integration, and action is what your journey is. And once you have finished this journey, which will finish at some point in time, you are then going to enter a space which is just rewards and rewards and rewards for everything that you have gone through. Now, the void is not disassociation, it is not numbness, it's not depression, it's not bypass or collapse. Okay, the void is pre-creation, pre-language, pre-identity, pre-choice. It's a place where form asks permission to exist again. It is like it is not even like it is a sacred threshold wheeled in enigma. And if this, your instinct, if you're feeling this, then your instinct is right. Your sequencing is correct, and your refusal to rush through it, your intuition to stay with it, is not avoidance. It is the tantric intelligence honoring your womb's timeless rhythm. Okay. Now, because we are talking about void, there are true void and false void. Okay. And again, I'm drawing this from the Shakta tantric discernment of both these cycles. Okay. Both of them, the true void and the false void, feels empty, and this is where most of them gets confused. All right, but their origin, texture, and directions are very, very, very different. Okay, so let's get into that. False void. Okay, here collapse is disguised as emptiness. So the void is defensive over here. It's not generative. Here it arises when the system cannot metabolize intensity, emotional intensity, or relational, or spiritual, or as existential. Okay, because it is unable to metabolize that intensity, it shuts down and it retreats into numbness. It retreats into numbness also because the source of all these things is your nervous system overload. It is unprocessed grief and shock. It is identity rupture without containment. It's premature letting go, okay? Which is spiritual bypassing masquerading as transcendence. Now, this is not shunya, this is just withdrawal. This is frozen mystery guarding wounds. Okay. Now, how does it feel in your body? Okay. It's just flat. It's not silence. It's not a silence that you would enjoy. It's a flatness. It's quietness which irritates you. Okay. It's numbness. It's not spacious at all. It is disconnected. It is not neutral. It is I don't care what the fuck is happening with me. I don't want to be like this. Rather than I am at peace. So time feels very stalled or heavy. Action feels very pointless and inaccessible. There is no pulse here, no hidden life stirring. And tantric diagnosis, false void, is Shakti suppressed, not Shakti resting. Okay, the energy is hasn't dissolved into source. It's just been frozen. It's veiled defense against fire. It's that. Okay, but let's say what's a true void. True void is gestation. You will literally feel like you are in the womb. What does a child do in the womb? Eat, rest, poop. That's it. Kick once in a while. Yeah, when it is time to kick. Otherwise, nothing. Just that. That is being in the womb. It appears, true void appears after the completion, not during the overwhelm. It's it's a very profound mystery of preparation. Something has already been seen, felt, burnt, or completed, and now the system enters rest before reformation. Okay. The womb's sacred pause. It's the source. It's successful integration of an activation. It is release of an identity layer. It is completion of a karmic loop. It is nervous system safety during any kind of resolution that's happening. It's willingness to not rush meaning. This is Shunya's womb. And the fertile void in Shakti Tantric cycle, where Shakti rests in potential, not in numbness. Okay. Now, how does it feel within you? Your stillness feels like being alive. Your silence um, feels like it is breathing. It's like breathing out darkness and breathing in light, breathing out darkness, or it can be breathing in darkness and breathing out. Is that what I said? Yes. Neutrality without avoidance. Okay. It's a very quiet, I'm okay how I feel. I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm okay how I feel. So if you have gone through depression before, you will compare it. This is a conversation with a client, okay? So when she said, told me about this, my first question to her was, actually, she analyzes even before she came to me, okay? She didn't know it was void. She just said, I asked myself if it was depression, but it was not. I didn't feel how I would feel when I was depressed. So, that's the answer. Time feels wide and suspended. Action is absent. You will not feel like doing anything. It's not because you're blocked though, right? It's just that something tells you, okay, not right now. I don't want to do it right now. I'm not feeling, I know most of you might take this statement wrong, but this is actually what it is. I don't feel like doing much. I'll do the bare minimum. It's not because I'm lazy, it's just because I'm not there yet. Okay. There is a pulse, it's just that it is not outside of you, it's very much inside. It's a mysterious undercurrent of becoming. So, tantric diagnosis, okay? True void is Shakti reobserved, okay, reobserved into Shiva temporarily. The energy has returned to the source by choice, not by force. And that is why it feels so clean and spacious and very oddly nourishing and intimate rather than isolating. And um you'll feel this womb's embrace that is very veiled in peace. So the singular most, okay, if I had to put this all together for you, the singular most differentiator, and this is a very somatic differentiator, okay, this is not coming from your brain, this is not coming from your analytical mind, but this is coming from your body, your space, okay. Ask this: does this emptiness feel like protection or preparation? Okay. If it is protection, you're in the true void. If it is yeah, if it's protection, you're in the false void. But if you're in preparation, then you're in the true void. Okay. So false void guards against pain, while the true void prepares for new form. That, guys, is mystery unfolding from the depths of the unseen. Okay. Now, I'm getting into another aspect of this false void as integration, because remember I mentioned this some time back. It's because integration in the current times have become a very performative word. If you're very familiar with the spiritual industry, um, activation, integration, um, is terminology which is very commonly used but very loosely used. Okay, so integration has been turned into a kind of a status quo, a performance. But what is real integration? How would you feel when you're really integrating? When you're really integrating, there's absolutely nothing that's happening, you all. Like nothing that's happening externally, okay? There is no insights internally, there is no expressions, there is no urgency. Because all the alchemy is happening when you are in the womb, when you are in the void. Restating this once again, people fake integration um, so that they stop feeling uneasy and they don't collapse in the false void. Or, in other words, because they feel uneasy and they just collapse into the false void. And they call it wisdom. But the point here is Tantra is very ruthless. If you are doing that, then, and if you don't return naturally from the state of void or integration into action, then the void is incomplete and you will be forced into surrender by life experiences that's coming your way. Okay? The womb is empty for a reason. So, here is another way for you to test. Okay? Put your hand on your womb and ask yourself if this emptiness is hostile to life. If you immediately get a yes, then it's a false void. Okay? Or ask, is it quietly capable of life even when nothing is forming yet? That that yes is a true void. Okay? Because the womb does not feel numb. It feels waiting without anxiety. It feels pregnant with veiled potentials. That is what it is. Okay? Now, why does this matter so much? Because um no one actually speaks a lot about void. It could also be possible because it's uneasy to experience it, and hence many of them don't experience it. And many of them who experiences it really don't know how to put it in words. It could be both the ways, right? Um, so why does it matter so much when it comes to inner journey? If you're somebody who's into inner work, inner journey, if you're into shadow alchemy, why does it matter? Because when you start your shadow work, you're often dropped into the false void. Because what happens in the false void is defenses very quickly fall into safety, meaning all the shadows starts coming up when you're in the false void. Absolutely important for the shadow work that needs to happen, right? So shadow work helps in dissolving identities, and that is important before you start rebuilding yourself. You cannot build yourself based on all the false identities that you have created for yourself. And true void comes after all these false identities and shadows have gone. When I say all, it happens in layers. Please know that it's not like you do 5 years of inner work and then you go into a void. No, in 5 years of inner work, you will go into void at least 100 times. Like in the last 3 years, I might have been in void at least 40 to 50 times. I'm just talking about 2 years. And I've not even calculated this, okay? But if I calculate, there will be, and some words are bigger, like it can go up to like 2 weeks. Some words are shorter. It can be like one day. It can be like half a day. It depends. It depends on the activation that you went through. All right. Now, true void usually comes after nervous system settling. Like when you start working on your shadows, your nervous system is actually on fire because it's already been on fire. It continues to be on fire. When you're slowly working on your shadows, your nervous system starts calming down. Your mind is more calmer. Your heart is more open. Okay. Meaning it's more easy for your nervous system to digest being in the void. Okay. So confusion is a little normal when you get started, but discernment is required while you are working on these things. And uh, like people who work with me, I think I take them to the tantric practices even without realizing it. And this is like, it just cuts through the illusion. Like, it's very clear that, oh, I'm pretending, or oh, this is not what it is, of sorts. Okay. Now, how would you actually know if the void, if the stage of void of it or integration is completed and you're ready for action? Now, this is not going to happen in a very dramatic way, all right? It happens very, very, in a very subtle way, expressing and revealing itself through you, the vessel, okay? Uh, it's not going to take you through a sudden motivation or an excitement or an anxiety to do something, okay? It is all of these that I mentioned are external pressures, okay? These these are the ways in which you identify that, oh, this is a false way of looking at it, meaning my integration is not yet done. Okay. When you are actually done with the integration, when you're actually done with the void, all right, it's very somatic in nature, not at all mental, wherein you'll have the spontaneous orientation. You'll feel drawn towards something without the kind of emergency or urgency. Okay. There's no internal debate about anything, no pros and cons loop, no what ifs and no buts and none of those things. Okay. The energy moves outward without force. You act without deciding to act. Action feels more obvious, not 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 courageous. Okay. It's This action is emerging from the depths of your womb. So it is, emotion returns very cleanly. There is no overwhelm, there is no intensity. It's very clear. It's like fresh water after a storm. Okay. Time perception normalizes, where you're not feeling suspended, you're not rushing into things. I'll do it now feels very sufficient, not like in the next 60 minutes. No, I'll do it now, and you will do it now. You feel alive with a lot of hidden potentials. You're like, I know what to do, and you're so sure about what you want to do. Identity reforms very lightly. Like, there's no attachment of who you are or who you're becoming. There is no fear of, losing the old self. There's nothing. And that is how you know that the re entry is organic and the body is like whispering what it needs to do. So, true void ends itself. False void feels like an escape. Differentiate it again for you. Yeah. And if you feel like you must leave the void, then it was not complete at all. And the mystery insists on a full cycle. Now, because I'm talking about Shakta Tantra so much, I want to take you through a very, not in depth, but a very meaningful explanation of what Shakta Tantra is. Now, at its core, Shakta Tantra is a lineage of the Indian spiritual philosophical system that places Shakti, dynamic manifesting power, as a primary reality and not secondary to consciousness. Okay. Uh, there are many other systems that asks, how do I transcend the world? Right. However, in Shakta Tantric lineage, it's more about how does the absolute become the world? And how do I recognize that within the embodiment, which is a profound mystery of incarnation, isn't it? Now, when I say Shakta Tantra or Shakti, it's not the feminine energy here, okay? This is a very important correction. In Shakta Tantra, Shakti is not gender psychology. Uh, Shakti is the force, vibration, movement, manifestation, power to appear, the cosmic pulse veiled in form. Okay. And Shiva without Shakti is inert awareness. Shakti without Shiva is blind movement. So reality arises from their inseparability. And it's not symbolic, it is ontology. It's ontological. It's a hidden architecture, architecture of the existence itself. The central claim of Shakta Tantra is that liberation does not happen by escaping form. Rather, liberation happens by reorganizing consciousness within the form. Therefore, the body is not an obstacle. Emotion is not a distraction. Desire is not sinful. And the world is not illusionary in a dismissive sense. Rather, the world is Shakti in expression, a living mystery to embodiment. Isn't it beautiful? And when I discovered all these things, I was like, this must be spoken, this must be known, this must be, told, this must be shared. So here I am doing it. Okay, so how does this Shakta Tantra differ from, other Indian paths? Okay, so I was researching about Vedanta. I researched about um yoga. I researched about bhakti. I researched a lot of things. So I think I need to share a few things about these aspects so that you know what the difference is, right? Now, when compared to Vedanta emphasizes Brahman beyond form. Okay, Shakta Tantra em- emphasizes Brahman as the form, and Vedanta dissolves the world, whereas Shakta Tantra inhabits it, so weaving the mystery again. Compared to yogic sciences, okay, classical yoga restrains prana, is still mind. However, Shakta Tantra moves prana consciously to awaken intelligence, control versus intimacy, force versus flow kind of a thing. Okay. When I compared it with bhakti, what I understood was that bhakti is surrenderance to the deity, right? However, in Shakta Tantra, the deity is becomes internal. It's not worship, it is identification. It's like you and the deity becoming one. And I think this is very common in the tantric tradition, right? Now, when, like I told before, tantra literally means to weave, to extend, to expand. And in Shakta Tantra, studies show how consciousness weaves itself into matter, how matter remembers consciousness, how human systems can retrace that weaving, and the mysteries encoded in mantra, which is the sound form, the yantra, the geometry, the mudra, the gestures, the ritual, visualization, breath, sexual alchemy in some lineages, are all technologies, and they are not belief systems. They are all tools that is used for this unraveling. And the role of the body, this is non-negotiable when it comes to through the Shakta Tantric. Okay, the body is a diagram of the cosmos. The nadis mirror cosmic currents. The chakra mirrors ontological shastra. The emotions are energy states, not flaws. And liberation occurs through the nervous system, not beyond it. So, somatic mysteries are awakening in the Shakta Tantra. And this is why the tradition is very precise, and it can be very dangerous when it is diluted for power, or for demanding respect. It doesn't work. You're gonna be destroyed if you use it, if you misuse it. Okay. And Shunya, the void in Shakta Tantra, um, it links to something else that we spoke earlier, right? The void is not a negation. In it is Shakti before differentiation. It is unexpressed potential. It is unpolarized power. It is awareness prior to intention. Hence, why it is experienced as a womb or in a womb like state. So, it is the shunya of the universe. It is the seed of creation in spiral mystery. So, that's the reason why Shakti Tantra is restricted and coded, because because it works with desire, power, identity. And the misuse leads to some very psychological and ethical collapse, and it dismantles social conditioning directly. So it's transmitted orally, it's encoded in myth, it's protected through initiation, veiled mysteries, only for the prepared, because this path is not for everyone. But it's good to know. And that's why if you're here, if you're still here, then you're interested. If you're still here and if you're interested, that's because it's somewhere unfolding within you. Okay. You're not just here because nobody's forcing you to stay here, right? You're just here because it's in your system, it's in your field. You've been a part of this in some lifetime. So, what Shakta Tantra is ultimately training is it's not a bliss, it's not an escape, it's not purity. It trains capacity to hold intensity. It trains you to hold clarity, to discern force from fantasy. It helps you with your integration, to live awakened without fragmentation. It is not just about being a high frequency being. It is about being a coherent being. A high frequency being can fluctuate in frequency. Take a second to explain that. Yeah. Let's say you go attend, let's say you're part of a container. It can be any kind of healing or plant medicine, any of those things. Your frequency goes higher. When you come back from there, and when life takes over, your frequency starts going lower. If you're continuing your practice, it kind of goes up and down, but that's how it is, and that's okay. But if you don't do anything after you come back from the practice, it reaches bottom line, okay, like rock bottom, like the way you were before. This might take 3 to 6 months. When you get to rock bottom, you go for another container, okay, and that high gets your frequency high. Same cycle follows. There's no coherence there. You're unable to hold your high frequency. So the higher self comes and goes out, comes and goes out. That's what happens. But let's say you become this coherent being wherein you go into a container which actually takes care of what your actual needs are: shadow work, inner work, understanding your emotions, understanding what your core architecture is, transmutation. Then your frequency goes higher, stays there, because right now your nervous system is calm, you're more stable, you're in a flow state, you're more coherent, you learn discernment. Many more things happens that puts you in a coherent state. So your frequency doesn't go up and down. You're there, you only got to go higher from there. Okay? I hope that helps. So, just like that, Shakta Tantra is not about any kind of fantasy or any of these things. It gets you to be in an awakened state without fragmentation, and that actually reveals who you really are. Okay, so it's a tradition that is science of recognizing consciousness as power, and power as a lived reality, not happening in intermittently. Okay, and you live this through your body, not in spite of it, as an like there isn't it's not, it's more like a timeless enigma that is embodied. Yeah. So if this conversation has rouse some kind of interest within you, okay, um then tell me, where do you feel, have you felt the void? Where do you feel it in your body? Is it protection? Is it preparation? And that's the essence and the discernment of the void. Tantra, Shakta woven, mysterious womb of all. And if this stirred something, for the next couple of seconds, just stay silent, just go deep, just stay with it. And I will see you in the second episode of the same topic, which is all about direction, activation, what's going to happen if you misuse it. And thank you so much for staying with me. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, share what you felt, and I'm so looking forward to seeing you in the second part of this episode. So thank you so much once again. You take care.